Hey and welcome to this part of the Flying Shapes video tutorial series. In this episode I'm going to show you some of the more advanced features that are available inside Flying Shapes. So we start by bringing up the menu and selecting the surface tool by simply clicking the trigger, and now I can close the menu again and we have it in both hands. So I can create a patch, that is, I create my curves and I have my patch. As easy as this. So now one of the nice features is I have this auto selector, that is, whenever I move my controllers close to one of the edges, it gets highlighted automatically or selected, and you see this also indicated with these small red lines that you can easily see in VR, but maybe not as well in the video. And if you click again here, for example, you can just create an adjacent patch at any place. So this is a very nice feature, but I'm going to go more into the details about the selection mechanism here. So you see the lower part of this button of the touchpad is highlighted in green, corresponding to this selection color, and when I hover something it gets highlighted in yellow. This is meant to help the user identify like this correspondence. The lower part of the button is the selection mechanism or the selection tool. It works the following way. If I keep it pressed and move the tool tip like this thing here through something, then it gets selected. You can see this because it's highlighted in green. You can select either surfaces or CVs or edges also at the same time, as you see, and by double clicking this button I can unselect everything that's selected, and when nothing is selected, double clicking selects everything that corresponds to the current tool. So now I have my surface selected again, and you see this little thing popping up, and this is, we call it Gizmo. It helps you work in a more precise manner with your geometry. This works by helping you constrain your movements. You can easily grab something, like you have this blue grabbing button, the ones here at the side, and you can grab something and freely move it around. But this is, in many cases, it's too free and you want to have a more controlled movement. In order to have this, you can select one or more geometric objects, for example, surfaces, and the gizmo allows you to make the movements only in a constrained manner. I use the same grabbing button and I can hover something like elements of the gizmo, starting with this ball, like the center. This allows me to move the selected elements freely, but there's no rotation anymore. So you can have a movement which is like free, but without any rotation. You can constrain your movement further by selecting one of the cones or of these like circular planes. If you, for example, pick this axis, this is the only movement that's allowed. So you can move in this entire plane and nothing happens, and only movements along this axis actually take place. It's similarly feasible for like these planes, so you can hover, for example, this plane, which is parallel to the bottom plane, and only move things parallel to this plane, but not in the orthogonal direction. This is the translation or movement part. It's a bit similar for the rotation. The center of the rotation, by the way, this follows my controller, so it's always reachable. The center of the rotation is always this ball, or the center of this ball, and to do the rotation you can imagine it's like grabbing a disc at its like edge and just like pulling. And so if I want to rotate around this blue axis, I need to like pick this corresponding band and just grab it, and also grab it and pull it. It's like as if I turned a disc around the specific axis. So this is a way of rotating around the three axes in a very controlled manner. And the same again applies to several geometry objects at once. I'm just going to show this with one additional patch here. So now I have my two patches, I select both, and now I can do like any kind of movement in the same way for both or all selected objects. This is a very handy feature to work with more precision. Now I'm going to remove my second patch again to show you some more like specific helpers. This is going to be about materials. Whenever I select something like a plane, a surface, I can assign its material. This is the bottom row of the menu, and I can like use this red color, this mirror, or this thing. This is we call it diagnostic shader, and other than these other materials, it's not fixed, so you see it moves relative to the surface. This is because it's only meant for diagnostic means, and it helps you, sorry, I unselect this, it helps you identify problems with your smoothness or with your curvature. I'm going to extend this by adding another patch. Oops. So you see what it does. You see there are some jumps along this edge. So there's some of these match, but most of them actually don't. It looks a bit better like this, but still you see in certain areas it's okay, but then again they're like jumps, and the shader helps you identify these problematic areas and work on them by adjusting the CVs, for example, or like I could also take this entire plane, but it's probably not helpful enough, so I'm going to just the CVs, and I can immediately see what it changed about my curvature. So by adjusting this and matching the curvatures, I can achieve a way smoother surface. It's a very intuitive way to, on the one hand, verify how smooth the transition is, and on the other hand, to make certain changes by hand. So, well, it's not perfect, but you see that there has been quite some progress, and you see now that the surface is way more smooth than it was before. So this is the tool that helps you do this. Now I can change the material again so we can see the result in the mirror mode, and you see like we're in this surrounding, and the mirror is like the mirror image is way better than it was before. So you do see that there is hardly any jump. There is a bit of a change in curvature, but it looks pretty smooth already. So now there's one other feature that I want to show you that's about like working with different patches. So you have these two patches here, and I have maybe another patch with the same number of CVs on this edge that I want to join with these. So how can I do this? I can of course like pull my single or snap my single CVs to this other patch, but yeah, this takes a while if it's a lot of patches. So, but what I can do as well is snap an entire curve. So I grab this curve, I hover the other one, and it snaps automatically. Once I release the grab button, I didn't have to do this, but if I want to do it and release it now, it gets snapped. So what does that mean? That means once I move one of the adjacent patches now, the other one changes as well, because, well, the basic assumption is that you want something like some physical behavior of your geometry. And once you combine certain surfaces, Flying Shapes assumes that you want this like combination to remain intact even when you modify the geometry. You can of course separate both shapes again, but this helps you like combine shapes easily or combine surfaces easily and keep them together. Also, when you edit parts of the geometry, you don't need to be afraid that there's going to be a gap afterwards. So that's it for this part of the tutorial. We'll go into even more details in the next episode. Stay tuned, thanks for watching, and let us know if there are features that you would like to have in the tool or that you would like to have videos about.